Hey everyone, today we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most fascinating, and honestly, most universal puzzles of human behavior, religion. Why is it that we, as a species, seem so drawn to believing in the supernatural?
I mean, just think about it for a second. We're talking thousands of cultures, spanning tens of thousands of years. From the smallest hunter-gatherer groups to the biggest modern empires, this pattern just keeps showing up. It's a true human universal. And for scientists, a pattern that consistent practically screams for an explanation.
So, for a while now, they've been using evolutionary theory to look at this. But they're not asking whether religious beliefs are true or false. That's not the point. They're asking a totally different question. What is it about our minds and our societies that makes religion such a powerful and persistent part of who we are?
And all of this work has sparked one of the biggest debates in the entire field. It's a real clash of ideas that gets right to the heart of why religion might have evolved in the first place.
So let's break it down. You've got two main camps. On one side, you have the byproduct hypothesis. This idea says that religion is basically an evolutionary accident. But on the other side, you've got the adaptation hypothesis, which argues that religion is no accident at all. It was actually a critical tool for our survival.
Okay, so let's dive into that first idea. This is the one that suggests religious belief wasn't something evolution was aiming for. Instead, it just sort of emerged from other mental tools that evolved for completely different and way more practical reasons.
You know that thing where you look up and see a face in the clouds? Or maybe you've jumped at a weird shape in the shadows at night. Well, that super common experience is the key to understanding the whole byproduct argument. Our brains are basically pattern matching machines, and sometimes they're a little too good at their job.
Scientists have a great name for this, the Hyperactive Agency Detection Device, or HAD. Imagine you're one of our ancestors on the savannah. You hear a rustle in the grass. Now, was it the wind, or was it a predator? Well, assuming it's a predator, even if you're wrong, was a fantastic survival strategy. The ones who assumed it was just the wind, well, they often didn't get to pass on their genes. This better safe than sorry approach hardwired our brains to see intention or agency literally everywhere.
And this quote really nails it. Our default setting is to assume the world is full of agents with minds and intentions. So if your brain is already primed to see agents everywhere, it's not a huge leap from seeing a predator in the shadows to sensing an ancestor spirit in the wind or a god in a thunderstorm.
So the idea here isn't that belief in gods was itself helpful for survival. Not at all. It's that our hyperactive agency detection was super helpful, and it just so happened to produce belief in unseen agents as a kind of side effect. Religion wasn't the target of evolution, it was more like the echo. But then a lot of scientists look at the incredible power and stability of religion throughout all of human history, and they say, hang on, that can't just be an accident. And this brings us to the other side of the debate, the case for religion as a powerful adaptation.
So as human groups got bigger and bigger, too big to be just close family, a huge problem popped up. How can you possibly trust all these strangers? How do you know they won't cheat you or just bail on the group when things get tough? This is where religion's social power really enters the picture.
The solution, according to this theory, is something called costly signaling. Look, anyone can say, I'm a loyal member of this group, but words are cheap, right? Actions, especially actions that are really difficult or costly, are a much more reliable way to show you're truly committed.
And this quote from William Irons illustrates the logic perfectly. A costly signal works because it's hard to fake. You are literally putting your money or your time or your comfort where your mouth is. Only someone who genuinely believes in the group and its values will be willing to pay that high a price.
And when you start looking for them, you see that religions are absolutely filled with these kinds of signals. Think about long fasts, complex food taboos, sacrificing valuable animals or money, or even enduring really painful rites of passage. These aren't just random things. They're very public demonstrations of faith and loyalty that would be incredibly difficult for someone who wasn't a true believer to go through.
So at the end of the day, these rituals act as a kind of social filter. They help weed out the free riders, the people who want all the benefits of group life without paying any of the costs. And what you're left with is a community of deeply committed, trustworthy people who can cooperate on a massive scale. And that gives them a huge advantage over other, less cohesive groups.
So which is it? Is religion just an accidental byproduct of our overactive brains? Or is it a fine-tuned adaptation for building strong societies? Well, a growing number of scientists are starting to say, hey, what if it's both?
This is where a really cool idea called dual inheritance theory comes in.
It suggests that human evolution basically runs on two parallel tracks. We inherit our genes through DNA, of course, but we also inherit our culture, our ideas, our beliefs, our technologies through social learning. And these two streams are constantly interacting and shaping each other in this really powerful feedback loop.
And here's how that can put the whole story together. So maybe it starts as an accidental cognitive byproduct, that tendency we have to see agency everywhere. But then human culture steps in and harnesses that tendency. It builds stories and rituals and moral codes around these unseen agents. Then, these new cultural systems with their costly signals and shared beliefs give some groups a real advantage in cooperation. And over time, the more cooperative groups just thrive and spread, and their religious and cultural beliefs spread right along with them. So an accident of cognition gets transformed into a powerful tool of cultural evolution.
Okay, so we've walked through the big debate and a possible way to bring it all together. But why does any of this actually matter in the real world? First off, and this is really important to get, the point of this science is not to try and debunk anyone's faith. Not at all. The evolutionary study of religion is trying to describe why humans believe, not tell them what they should believe.
What it really offers us is a profound way to understand some of the most powerful forces in human history. The mental biases that can make beliefs so natural, the social dynamics that bind communities so tightly, the rituals that build trust. These aren't just things from ancient history. They're active forces shaping our politics, our societies, and even our personal lives, right here, right now.
And that leaves us with one last, fascinating question to think about. Our world today is radically different from the one where all of these traits evolved. We have secular laws, global communication, scientific explanations for things once blamed on the gods. So, as we keep moving forward, how is this ancient, deeply embedded part of our human nature going to adapt and change? That's a question for the future, but it's one that this evolutionary perspective really helps us begin to ask.